cuckolds? It's the hater here today, having a pretty good day. It's kind of rainy, and I haven't really done much. I haven't been very productive today, so I figured I'd come make a video. I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm still on vacation mode or something. I need to get my ass on gear, motherfuckers. I got goals and dreams. But anyways, before we get started, as usual, let's do a little bit of a shout-outs up in this bitch. First of all, I'd like to give a special shout-out to Soapy Sins because he or she says, who has the best thumbnails on YouTube? The hater. That's right. Thank you, Soapy Sins. And then we got, what's it called? Good old Thomas Rodriguez. I don't know if he's a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, Thomas Rodriguez, subscribe today. But he makes some pretty good points. And then we've got a few new subscribers. A few of them have appeared or have written and said they're new subscribers. So here are your shout outs. We have ID, which is IDD. ID says, you hater. Nice review. Just subscribe. Give your boy shout out. There it is, ID. There it is. You got a shout out. Your picture is like a spider, but it's like Spider-Man's logo kind of, you know, up close. So shout out to that, motherfucks. Then we have new subscriber today, Red Effect. Red Effect. And Red Effect is awesome because not only did he subscribe, but he wrote in one of my videos, he wrote, subscriber 409, motherfuckers. So shout out to Red Effect. Welcome all of you to the friendship, motherfuckers. Now let's get to the point that we were gonna discuss today, right? The real heart of the video, if you will. In this video, we're gonna talk about 25 reasons why NXT fucking sucks. That's right, motherfuckers. NXT sucks. This video was inspired by someone who left a comment in one of my videos, and he said, you guys are giving the hater ideas about his next video. Took a while to make it, but here we are, you know? Because a few people were arguing about whether NXT is good or not, and this one guy was like, yo, man, you're giving the hater an idea for a video, like, you know, that's kind of cool. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna follow through with that. So here we are with 25 original reasons why NXT fucking sucks, motherfuckers. All right, reason one, and this is a very important one, you know, very important. We might talk about this one for a little bit. NXT has a changing roster, so therefore it's hard to build people up, right? That's the first reason it sucks. If you have a roster that's changing like all the time, you know what I mean? All the time, you can't really build up feuds, you can't really build up people, right? Because it's like, you build them up to become NXT champions, then they go to the main roster, and they basically have to start all over again. You know what I mean? They have to start all over again. They have to become like Nakamura, Bobby Roode. They have to become like a jobber once again, you know what I mean? Or if they're good, you know, they might become a main eventer, but typically they become jobbers, right? And the problem with that is that you can be a big deal in NXT, right? But as soon as you get over enough where it's like, all right, this guy's like legit, he's undefeated or something, right? You know, boom, you get moved to the main roster, gotta start from zero, motherfuckers. And then the person you were feuding with in NXT, that person's like, oh shit, like this guy went to you know, the main roster, now I gotta find someone else to feud with. And then, you know, that's why we have the landscape that we have now, motherfuckers. So that's reason one. Reason two, NXT is simultaneously presented as equal to Raw and SmackDown, superior to Raw and SmackDown, and inferior to Raw and SmackDown. I don't understand how this is even possible, but they do it. At different times, they present NXT as being like the developmental league that it is, right? And other times, they say, oh, NXT is just, it's a third brand, just like Raw and SmackDown. And then at Survivor Series, NXT dominates. And then, like, they didn't even barely win. They dominated, right? They won so many matches, and so many high-profile matches, including the main event, that it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking NXT. It's the D-Leagues, man. You know? So I don't like how they don't kind of keep consistent with how NXT is presented, you know? And reason number three, the NXT crowd, motherfuckers, the NXT crowd. Oh my God. This crowd is a bunch of beards. You know, I think this is a symptom of having the show in the same place all the time. You attract the same people, man. The same people. And they all are neck beards. They're not cool. Just a bunch of weirdos marking out on everything, you know? Like even when good things happen, like when Cowboy James Storm debuted, like back in the day, right? They were like, you deserve it. You deserve it. And then I'm like, all right, that's cool, right? But a lot of people didn't really give a shit about Cowboy James Storm until that moment, you know? Even though he had been great for years. So it's like they just kind of, you know, get on board with this like, oh, we know a little bit more than you, like normal fans, right? You know, I was watching this, what was it, WWE Ruthless Aggression episode 4 with Brock Lesnar, right? And one of the things that they talked about was how like New York has the smartest of smart fans. And I'm like, dude, don't call them that. They're not smart fans. You know, a smart fan is not someone that knows, oh, Yoshihiro Tanakashi. Oh, this guy, yeah, I mean, he wrestled his first match versus Tomoyuki Hirakoto in like, you know, in like Senpai, Japan or whatever. Right? That's not like a smart fan. That's called a beard. That's called a nerd, man. If you're this kind of fan of anything else, you're considered a nerd, like across the board. You know, it's like they're the Trekkies of WWE, of wrestling fans. You know what I mean? Like the guys that like one time I was in Times Square, this was many years ago, and there was like some Star Wars toy being released, right, at the Toys R Us in Times Square. And I'm just like, all right, as I'm walking by there, I'm just like, all right, I see a lot of people dressed like Star Wars characters, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's like nearly midnight. But what the hell's going on? So I asked one of them, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, is there like a movie coming out? Like around the corner or something? Like, what's happening? Like, why would you stay here till 12? Like, oh, no, the new Darth Maul action figure is coming out. Yeah. You got people dressed like Darth Maul to await the release of an action figure. Like, yo, you're fucking insane, bro. Like, that's not normal. You know what I mean? And these people are the wrestling fan equivalents of that. Yeah, that's actually a single crab nerve. Like, I know my wrestling holds pretty well. You know what I mean? But these people are like, no, that's actually a single nerve hold crab leg flapjack up the ass takedown. Used originally in Lansing, Michigan by, Robert Roberts. Yeah, it's like that kind of bullshit, you know? The NXT crowd fucking sucks, motherfuckers. Reason 4 up in this bitch. When it was first introduced, everyone was introduced as a rookie, right? When NXT was first introduced, and this kind of blends in with reason 5, but with some reason 4 cuts, don't jump ahead, right? So when NXT first was introduced, they just introduced like 8 rookies, and they called them the WWE or the NXT rookies, right? And they paired them up with like pros, you know? So like they paired like Wade Barrett with Jericho, you know, fucking, what's it called? Daniel Bryan with The Miz, right? And like these people were supposed to learn from The Miz, supposed to learn from Daniel Bryan, right? And this is kind of, I think, what really started like the issue with NXT, right? Is because they started out with specifically Daniel Bryan in there. People were like, Daniel Bryan's not a rookie. The Miz is a rookie. Daniel Bryan has more experience than The Miz. Daniel Bryan started wrestling in 1994 and like, you know, whatever, Aberdeen, Washington, you know, against like the Aberdeen Kid. You know, The Miz is like a reality star guy, you know? And that's the problem. The problem was that like this attitude was like it doesn't matter if Daniel Bryan has been an indie jobber for longer than The Miz. That's not what we're measuring here. You know, they're rookies in the WWE. They're rookies in this new format where actual money is made and you're not wrestling for a t-shirt and a slice of pizza. You understand what I'm saying? That's the difference, right? So The Miz has a lot to learn. Daniel Bryan has a lot to learn from The Miz. And The Miz has nothing to learn from Daniel Bryan. What is he going to learn? Oh, the calf crusher, or whatever, the cattle mutilation, I should say. Oh, I'm going to teach him a new hold, the cattle mutilation. Who the fuck cares about that? The Miz is someone that's been like traveling on the roads. The Miz is someone that was bullied by JBL. Like Daniel Bryan and these people are lucky that they're not around the company when JBL was around. And I know what the smarks are thinking. Like, Daniel Bryan would beat JBL. He would do a grapevine to his leg and, you know, put him in an Achilles lock, and he would break JBL's fucking leg. Do it, Bryan. Do it. No, what would happen is this. JBL would slap him in the face. Daniel Bryan would be like, I'm going to jujitsu you. And then JBL would just clothesline him from hell right then and there. And that would be the end of that. You know what I'm saying? Enough of this bullshit. You know what I mean? Oh, Joey Styles knocked out JBL. No one cares, motherfuckers. No one cares if Joey Styles got a lucky shot in against drunk JBL. The point I'm trying to make is this. It was introduced as a bunch of rookies, right? And I think that's when the smarkness came about. People were like, Daniel Bryan's not a rookie. They put the smarks started cutting the Kevin Owens promo where Kevin Owens was like, John, I'm not a rookie, you know, against John Cena, right? I've been doing this longer than you have. Yeah, you've been doing this longer than he has in the D leagues, motherfuckers. In the D leagues. That's kind of like saying, you joined the NFL, like just completely like, you know, randomly. You never played a day of football in your life. You joined the NFL and you played there for 3 years. Well, I've been playing football since high school, college, and then like the Arena Football League. So you're the rookie here. Yeah, but that rookie played in the NFL. So it's a normal ranking system, right? Where it's like this guy's clearly superior to you. And I'm not saying that like if you wrestled in the indies, you're inferior to everyone in WWE. Of course not, right? But in terms of you have something to learn from them, right? You have to learn what it's like to be in WWE. You know, if you're someone that works like in the best hospital in the world, right? And you move to like a smaller state and you're working in like a state hospital, you have to learn how to work in that state hospital. You might be a better doctor, perhaps, right? But there's more to it than that. So anyways, yeah, that's it right there. Like this idea that everyone was introduced as a rookie just carries on with NXT and makes them feel like rookies to me, right? And this brings us to reason number 5. The name, motherfuckers, the name is stupid, right? And for the same reasons as 4. The name is supposed to obviously be a play on words, a pun, if you will, on the word next, right? NXT, right? These are the superstars that will be next, right? They are the next crop of superstars, the next main eventers, the next main roster guys, right? You might as well call it Developmental Jobber League, or as I call it, DJL. The DJL, motherfuckers, the Developmental Jobber League, right? So the name is dumb. It's supposed to be a play on next. So you can't really like use that and then be like, oh, they're an equal brand. They're a brand now. They're not what they were supposed to be. No, if you wanted a brand, just use ECW. You know, that would have made sense. Use ECW, get rid of the whole like, you know, no DQ stuff, right? Make that like a special attraction, and that's all you need, right? There's nothing more, nothing less to it, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Simple stuff. You want another brand. Don't take your developmental brand and then call that a brand, right? So anyways, that's that right there, right? Reason number 6, all right? Yeah. Sorry, I lost track. Reason number 6. NXT, right, thinks of itself as a brand while being a developmental league. Now, here's what I mean by this, because this sounds a lot like what I just said, but it's not. It's one thing for Triple H and one thing for even, let's say, Vince McMahon or whoever's in charge or the announcers to be like, you know what? Or even the wrestlers to be like, this is our third brand, right? But it's turned now into this idea that like the NXT wrestlers really seem to think that they're on par with Raw and SmackDown, right? Specifically, the Johnny Gargano interview where he was like, it's a third brand. I'm the leader of it. We're just as good as, we're not the C show. We're just as good as Raw and SmackDown. No, you're not, kid. You fucking aren't. Trust me. You're a jobber. Just recognize you are a jobber, right? So, yeah, that's reason 6. They think they're actually a brand. Like the wrestlers look like they've almost lost track of the goal. The goal should be to make it to Raw and therefore make it to WrestleMania. The goal shouldn't be, oh, I want to be in NXT Portland. Oh, I'm going to steal the show from the weekend, like whatever, NXT Tampa Bay, whatever the fuck they're going to have before WrestleMania. I want to be there and steal the show. I don't want to be in the main event for the WWE title like I dreamed. My dream has changed now. I want to be NXT North American champion. Yeah, it's me. Shut up. I don't want to hear that shit. Anyways, reason number 7. It's on Wednesday nights, and there are better shows on Wednesday nights, motherfucks. Primarily, Survivor. The only reason I even watch AEW is because now that I've introduced my girlfriend to Survivor, right, and she likes it too, you know, we typically don't hang out on Wednesdays, so that's something that, like, I would be watching on Wednesday by myself if I wasn't dating her and if she wouldn't get mad that I watch by myself. But now I watch with her over the weekend or something, so Wednesday nights are free. But if it weren't for that, I'd be like, yo, fuck AEW, fuck NXT, I'm going to watch Survivor. Survive today, motherfucks. So anyways, there you have it. Wednesday nights, there's a lot of good shit going on Wednesday nights. Eventually, South Park is going to come back for a few weeks. You know, that's another thing. I know it's after, but whatever. It doesn't matter, motherfucks. It's still like a better show. I'm going to be focused on that. So there you have it. Reason number 8. The transition from NXT to the main roster is, like, I'm going to call it, like, I'm going to coin the term negative funnel, right? Where people tend to end up as jobbers, right? So, like, you know, a funnel, you put a lot of shit in it, and then a little bit comes out, little by little, right? The idea is, like, to, you know, in the way I'm using it at least, the idea is to, like, kind of, like, filter out, like, vet out who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. But but from NXT to the main roster, it's like an inverse relationship. You know what I mean? Like, you have all these people coming in from NXT to the main roster, and almost all of them end up being, like, not even mid-carders. They end up being, like, jobbers. Like, complete and utter jobbers. I mean, like, I'm talking someone like EC3, right? This guy comes into NXT with a little bit of, like, you know, promise, right? He looks like $1 million, but they're like, all right, you're an NXT jobber. I'm sorry, dude. Like, you're a jobber in NXT. Then they move him up to the main roster for some reason. I don't know why. He didn't do anything like noteworthy in NXT. Holy shit, what is that? Oh, my laundry's done. Cooks! I'll be right back, bitches. Yeah, the point is, EC3, like, he didn't really accomplish, I mean, anything really. I don't even remember anything about him in NXT other than his debut, when people were like, NX3 or something like that. Like, they were chanting, like, NX3 instead of NXT. Ugh, the douche chills, motherfuckers. So, yeah, the point is, a lot of people have, like, EC3 trajectories, you know what I mean? Like, they, even if they initially come in and make a splash, they eventually, like, kind of equal out to like Dolph Ziggler level. Like that's it. That's where you, if you came from NXT, you will be Dolph Ziggler level. I can't think of anybody that came from NXT, like real NXT. I mean like once NXT was on TV and stuff like that, or once NXT was on the network, right? In this modern time, not like Seth Rollins who did it before like NXT became what it is today. But who came from NXT? Let's think. Who came from NXT and became anything more than Dolph Ziggler? Like who transcended? Arguably Baron Corbin. It's too early to tell, but arguably Baron Corbin. That's it, man. Everyone else is a fucking jobber. Like there's not one, you know, like Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe, Nakamura. Jesus Christ, this should be its own reason. This should be. I'll talk about this in the end. We'll get to this in the end, motherfuckers. So, anyways, yeah, negative funnel. It sucks. Reason number 9. Everyone in NXT in the male division is a midget, motherfuckers. Everyone is tiny. That's why they're in NXT. I'm talking about like the new people that they've signed, but also perhaps more specifically, some of the people that have just stayed there. You know, like Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Like they're like, all right, dude, like, you know, you're tiny. You're an NXT level guy. Like we're not gonna even bother bringing you up to the main roster. Like just stay here in the indie leagues. You know what I mean? So I don't like that at all about NXT. That's why it sucks, dog. Anyways, reason number 10. The wrestling style is stupid, Nagel. It's so stupid, man. The wrestling style is just the same match no matter who you are. You're doing the same match. At first, I thought it was cool. You know, at first I was like, oh my God. Like I saw like Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic. And I'm like, holy shit. Like these two guys are monsters. And they're doing like poison ranas and flips and things like that. But then it's like, then it went overboard. You know what I mean? I'm just like, dude, what's the point of having big guys if they're going to wrestle like small guys? Like, honestly, think about it. If Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic can do the same things that fucking Lio Rush can do, why is Lio Rush even employed? You know, like, what is it about him, right? Like, back in the day, the idea was if you were a small guy, if you were Rey Mysterio, you could do things that Scott Steiner can't do, right? You're doing, like, you're there because you can do things that Scott Steiner cannot do, and Scott Steiner is there because he can do things that you can't do, right? Now we have people like Keith Lee who can do everything, right? And he's awesome. I like Keith Lee, don't get me wrong. I mean, now I'm getting a little bored of him just because of like, all right, like let's have this go somewhere, you know what I mean? Just like, oh, Keith Lee, limitless, we get it, you know? So like give him actual feuds, you know? So, but yeah, like if someone like Keith Lee or Dominik Dijakovic can just do all the moves, right? I don't, like, why would I be interested? I mean, I get it. You want to have more than one person, but it's like, why would I be interested at all in Johnny Gargano, right? Like, is there any scenario, right, where you have like Lio Rush, like beating up Dijakovic, right? Is there any fantasy land where Lio Rush could even like do any kind of harm to someone like Dominik Dijakovic, right? No. Well, then what's the point of Lio Rush? Dominik Dijakovic can do the high-flying moves, and he can destroy this guy. Similarly, is there any scenario, any fantasy land where Johnny Gargano, right, can beat up Keith Lee? No. Then why even have him? Why even have him there? This is even worse in the Johnny Gargano example because Johnny Gargano is like a main eventer in NXT, you know? So it's like, it's ridiculous. It's just preposterous, you know? So there you have it. The wrestling style is stupid and everyone wrestles the same way, which doesn't make me like look forward to anything, right? If Keith Lee is going to do the same thing as Lio Rush, right? Then I only want to watch one of those matches. I don't want to watch both, right? The good thing about wrestling, like for example, take WCW, motherfuckers, right? Like, or WWE even, in the 90s, right? There were different wrestlers that did different things, right? And either you might like some, you might not like others, right? But you had variety. That's the problem. You had variety. That's like the number one problem in wrestling today, honestly. Like, I'm going to make a whole video. This just came into my head right now, and it's going to be an entire video on its own about variety, right? Oh my God, it's gonna be a good one too. I can tell, motherfuckers. I might do it right after. But anyways, so yeah, The wrestling style is stupid, Maggle. So let's make a note here about making a video about variety. Make video about variety. And now that we've done with that, let's get to reason number 11. NXT competes against AEW, doesn't do too well, right? And people pretend that AEW is now defeating WWE. The Wednesday Night Wars. What the fuck are you talking about? This, like, NXT doesn't even, I don't even think that, like, it's possible that NXT just exists now to, like, split the audience with AEW, because NXT is exactly like AEW. Like, boring, long matches, right? A lot of, like, you know, like, the same shit again and again, right? Like, everyone doing the same moves. A lot of false finishes. It's the same garbage, you know? So it's like, maybe that's its only purpose, right? But the reality is, it's like, I think Jay Rance pointed this out, right? Like, there's this argument that people always make of, like, oh, Raw and SmackDown have been around for a long time. That's why they have bigger audiences, which is, like, the most ridiculous, like, it's counter common sense, right? Because if I invent a new sport tomorrow, right? Like, in 1 year, it might not pull NFL numbers, right? But it also might if this new sport is incredible and amazing, right? That's why you have all these new shows that come out of nowhere and they're pulling, like, incredible numbers, right? So, like, you have something like when America's Got Talent started, right? Like, America's Got Talent didn't start, like, being inferior to, I don't know, fucking TNA wrestling, right? No, they immediately, first year, they got, like, millions of viewers because it's an inherently interesting concept, right? That appeals to a broad audience. The reason why NXT and AEW aren't pulling WWE numbers is not because no one knows about AEW, right? AEW gets all this press, free promotion, right? The reason that they aren't, you know, getting any viewers is because they're not good enough. Same thing with NXT. NXT gets promoted, like, all the time, but they don't have the same viewers as Raw and SmackDown, right? It's not because people don't know about NXT. What the fuck are you talking about? They talk about it all the time on Raw. They're like, NXT's here this week. Watch this on, whatever, 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. The reason that they don't get the amount of viewers is because NXT just isn't as good. It's as simple as that. It's not as good, and they're presented as the jobber league. So people are like, why the fuck would I want to watch NXT, right? It's the same reason why I would never, now for sure, I would never watch 205 Live. Why would I watch 205 Live? Why? I'm going to see the match that I see today at 205 Live in 2 years on Raw, you know? Like, the Humberto Carrillos and Angel Garzas are going to eventually come to Raw, right? So there you have it, cucks. I have no reason to even watch that, you know? So there you go. You know, that's what I got to say about that. Pin this bitch. It sucks, motherfuckers. Reason number 12. Every NXT superstar is treated by the smarks better than they actually deserve to be treated, right? So you take anyone in NXT and they get automatic, what I'm going to call NXT points, right? People pretend they're better than they are just because they're in NXT. And I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, you have these people that are, like, complete job. Like, for example, who was it? I don't know, some YouTuber. Like, there's this one guy, I think his entrance went, like, kind of viral online, but I don't think he's made his, like, NXT debut. Some guy called Eric Bugenhagen, right? And people are, like, losing their minds over this guy. Like, oh, this guy's so charismatic. Eric Bugenhagen. Wow, this guy is like, oh, he's going to be a star. And I'm like, dude, this guy is exactly like Adam Rose. Like, what makes this guy better than Adam Rose? All these people, like, he's just like a dude who's, like, silly looking. Like, he's got, like, a mustache and, like, weird hair, right? And he comes out dancing, right? People are like, wow, this is incredible, right? Like, stop pretending, man. That's not how it works. They're only saying that because he's in NXT. There's nothing good about this guy. He's the same thing as Adam Rose. He's the same thing as No Way Jose. What makes him better? You know, oh, he's charismatic. Based on what? The fact that he danced to the ring? Stop it. Enough of this bullshit. You know what I mean? Eric Bugenhagen, my ass. Anyways, but yeah, it's the NXT problem, motherfuckers. Reason 13. NXT, I'll preface this reason by saying this. I recently looked at a list of 5-star matches from Dave Meltzer just to laugh. And what I noticed was that reason number 13 is this. NXT has more 5-star matches, according to Meltzer, of course, than WWE. And because there is an inverse relationship with what Dave Meltzer actually thinks is good and what actually is good, this is a reason in and of itself that NXT sucks, right? I was watching, I watched some, like, thing with Edge and Christian in it, right? Everybody knows Christian's my favorite wrestler, and Edge is, like, all right, too. So I was watching it, and they were talking about TLC. So it made me think to myself, I'm like, interesting. So Dave Meltzer wants me to believe that, I don't know, TLC 2, or even the Triangle Ladder match at Mania. Hell, even Dudley Boys versus Hardy Boys at Royal Rumble, which is, like, one of my favorite matches ever, right? Like, he wants me to believe that these matches are inferior, right, to Andrade versus Johnny Gargano. What have you lost your mind? Right? WWE, like, oh, HBK versus Undertaker, 4.75 stars. 4.75. Oh, Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, oh, 5.5 stars. Have you, in what world does this asshole live in? You know what I mean? Like, you see some of these matches here, it's like, oh, PWG, like irrelevant show number 8, like nameless wrestler versus nameless wrestler, 7 stars or 6 stars, right? Fucking Kurt Angle versus HBK, 4.25 stars. Are you fucking insane? Like, Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels is not good enough, right? But like Austin Theory or whatever and like Evolve Wrestling, this guy, oh, 8-star match, 8-star classic, you know? And that's the problem, right? Like, it just proves that Dave Meltzer knows nothing, and that because Dave Meltzer knows nothing and he keeps putting over NXT, that must mean, I think, by reasonable deduction, that NXT sucks ass, motherfuckers. Reason 14, false finishes up the ass, right? There are times when false finishes are good, and there are times when they are bad. Like, I will tell you my favorite false finish probably of all time, right? It was Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, Triple H versus Taker, right? Taker was still undefeated at the time, right? He's battling Triple H back and forth. He gets into a little scuffle with Shawn Michaels, and I think he hits Shawn Michaels by accident or something. And then what happens is, like, the match goes on in a certain way where basically Taker gets like hit by Triple H. He turns around, right? This is like not the beginning of the match either. This is like 20, 25 minutes in. He turns around, sweet chin music to the face of Undertaker, who then turns around and gets pedigreed by Triple H, right? And I'm thinking to myself, and Shawn Michaels is the ref. Triple H pins him, and I'm like, this is it. This is it, man. Undertaker's streak is about to end. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is insane. It's gonna end. Then he kicks out, and I actually jumped out of my chair. I'm like, holy shit, he kicked out, right? And I wasn't that young. This was like what? Wasn't that long ago. This was 2012, 2011, maybe, right? So it's like, it was legit. It was a legitimate moment. You know what I mean? It felt fantastic, right? And the reason it felt fantastic was because, like, it was a false finish that actually was believable. Nowadays, they're not believable. You know, they're just not believable. It's just like because you already know every match is going to have 3 or 4, right? But in that situation, like, the implications were so severe, storyline-wise, that it's like, oh my God, is it over? Is the streak over? No, not yet, cut! And he kicks out, right? That's what I'm saying. That's like what makes a good false finish. In NXT, it's like Dijakovic does like a corkscrew splash on Keith Lee. Keith Lee kicks out at 2 like it's nothing. You know? Keith Lee does a sit-out last ride, right, onto Dijakovic, who just rolls. He just takes a move and rolls and just stands, like, he just stands up. Like nothing happened. You know? Like even a clothesline, you sell better than that. This guy takes a sit-out powerbomb from a 340-pound dude, right? And he just no-sells it, right? Forget about getting pinned from that. He no-sells it completely, man. So it's this kind of false finishes and no-selling that makes NXT a garbage fed, in my opinion, right? Because it's like, you know, like, you see people kicking out of like the Panama Sunrise, right? Like, these moves that should be taking your head off. And then, like, Adam Cole does like a running knee to the back of the head, right? And it looks like shit, and he wins with that. You know? Someone gets thrown off a cage, lands like on their head through 7 tables, kick out at 2. Slight knee to the back of the head, no kicking out of that ever, right? Oh, no one's kicked out of the one-winged angel. Who cares? People are kicking out of, like, taking 17 power bombs in a row through tables, and then a guy dropping an elbow on him. Oh, no one kicked out of the one-winged angel. Gives a fuck that people are like, oh, it protects the move. Does it? What about protecting the other moves that look devastating? How about don't rely on false finishes? How about rely on cool things like counters and high-flying moves and things that make sense, you know? Not this kind of bullshit, or more importantly, just rely on storylines. That's what makes wrestling good. But what makes wrestling bad is this kind of bullshit, false finishes up the ass up in this bitch. Reason number 15. NXT sucks because NXT is full of repetitive, goofy shit. I mean, how many times are we going to see the same thing, right? The same thing in NXT and be okay with it? How many times are we going to have to tolerate Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa betraying each other. Like, why, in real life, if you had two friends, and they were called Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, and they behaved this way, you would cut them both off. You'd be like, you're both fucking assholes. Don't speak to me ever again. You know, like stop being such little bitches. You know, oh, he betrayed me, I'm gonna betray him. Oh, betrayal here, betrayal there. Like, who gives a shit, right? They're not inherently interesting. Like, the first time that the betrayal happened, that was kind of interesting because it's like, all right, this is a tag team, right? Who came in together like legit, like real life. They came in together and they didn't have jobs, and now they became like tag team champions. So it's time for them to break up. All right, it's kind of legit. It could be a good feud if done one time. This was like 5 years ago, motherfuckers, right? And all of a sudden, now they keep doing it again and again and again, and I'm supposed to care? I'm supposed to care still about Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano? Well, I got news for you, pal. I don't care about Tommaso Ciampa or Johnny Gargano. They can kiss my ass. And it's this kind of repetitive garbage that we keep seeing again and again. And it's not just like the storylines that, when they have some storylines, that become repetitive. It's the same kind of booking, right? It's like you have Baron Corbin, then you get rid of him. Then you put in Aleister Black, who's basically the same thing. He's just a guy that comes and wins, right? You keep introducing the same kind of characters again and again. They leave, you introduce a new one, right? It's the same shit. And then also, we're seeing all this like repetitiveness in basically how like the matches are booked, right? Same exact match every single time. You'll see it a million times. Every Undisputed Era tag match is the same fucking match. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly do a few moves here and there, right? And eventually someone gets the hot tag, and then, holy shit, getting a phone call. And you understand what I'm saying, motherfuckers. I don't know who the fuck this person is. Denver, Colorado. I don't know anybody in Denver. So yeah, you have all these people doing the same exact moves again and again and again, right? And then Bobby Fish eventually like makes a mistake, and Kyle O'Reilly either gets pinned or they come back from it and they hit their little double team move and win. It's the same match. I don't want to see it again. You know, even Adam Cole, all his matches are the same. I don't want to see him anymore, man. You know, if you do the same thing again and again and you have no storylines, why would I want to see it again? Why would I want to see it more than once? You know, compare that to, let's say, Randy Orton, and I guess we'll call it the Randy Orton and Edge feud, even though Edge hasn't been around. Like, that's exciting. It's interesting, right? Because it's like, all right, they have these two guys who are legends. One of them is coming back. The other one is Randy Orton, right? And the other one, Randy Orton in this case, is insane, right? He's insane. We've seen him be insane before, but not this kind of insane. Not the kind of insane that's like, yo, man, I did it for you. You know? Completely stone cold, cold-blooded. And even though it's similar to the Triple H one, right, when he fought Triple H, that was one of the best feuds ever. So it's okay to duplicate that many years later, right? It's not okay to duplicate Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I don't care. I don't care who comes out on top. I don't care who's the face. I don't care who's the heel. What's probably going to happen is they'll have a match and one of them will be injured and out on the shelf for 6 months. I'm sick and tired of these motherfuckers, man. All they do is get injured. They're so annoying and boring. So anyways, there we have it. Cucks! You know what I'm saying? Why do people keep leaving me shit voicemails and all this bullshit? I don't know. I'll look at it later, cucks. Anyways, reason number 16. The Undisputed Era is not cool. All right? They're not cool. They're goofballs. It's, you have like Adam Cole over there, right? Who just, like, I saw a picture somewhere on WWE.com or something, or somewhere, where it's Adam Cole and Britt Baker, and it's like his face. And I looked at his face and I'm like, yo, this guy is like the most normal guy ever. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's ugly, but he has this face of just like a guy that you see on the street, you know, like, oh, hey there, guy I see on the street, you know, not like zero intimidation, like he's athletic in the sense that he can do flips here and there, but zero like physical charisma. Like, you see this guy and nothing stands out. You're not like, wow, what a specimen. You're just like, look at his asshole. Like, why is he even a wrestler, you know? And then you have Roderick Strong, who is very strong for his size. I like him. I kind of like him the most now, I think. Then you have, oh no, actually no, Kyle O'Reilly's my favorite one. But you have Bobby Fish, who looks like he's like a 90s porn actor, you know? And like, I don't even know what this guy's job is there. Now he has like white hair. And this is supposed to be like the future. Like, the group is supposed to be the future. Like it's like their era, right? This guy's already old, you know? So Undisputed Era sucks ass, motherfuckers. Reason 17. Tommaso Ciampa, who is one of their top guys, looks like a child on the main roster. You know, when during the whole NXT's invading WWE angle, he came out and challenged The Miz. And it's like The Miz was about 1.5 feet taller than this jobber. And I'm just like, dude, I don't care how ripped and jacked Tommaso Ciampa is. I would take The Miz in a fight over him. I don't give a fuck. Like, it just looked ridiculous. Tommaso Ciampa could barely lift him for the fairy tale ending, and somehow, like, he won the match. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like, everybody knows that, like, in 5 years, who's going to be higher up on the card in 5 years? Tommaso Ciampa or The Miz? I mean, The Miz, dude, obviously, you know? If he's still around, that is, right? Reason number 18. Johnny Gargano weighs about 155 pounds, and in my opinion, is visibly one of the smallest wrestlers in the history of wrestling to have the kind of push that he's having, right? The only one smaller than him to ever be like a legitimate winner is Rey Mysterio. But Rey Mysterio is Rey Mysterio, you know what I mean? The rules don't apply to him. Rey Mysterio does moves like the 619, right? So when he beats someone, it's like, oh, he had a 619. Nobody knows like what to expect from this little twerp, right? But Johnny Gargano, he's like a Daniel Bryan, and he makes Daniel Bryan look like a giant. I fucking hate him. Johnny Gargano sucks. How do you like them apples, right? Reason 19. Paige was NXT Women's Champion, and she allowed Brad Maddox to ejaculate on the belt, and that belt now, in my opinion, has zero prestige and will never recover from it. The NXT Women's title is a title, I know they changed the belt, but still, it's a title where a jobber called Brad Maddox ejaculated on it, you know what I'm saying? And that's the end of that. I don't care what happens to the title anymore. Why Charlotte would even want that title, the ejaculate title, is beyond me. Paige made an ass out of herself when she did that. That was the biggest problem I had with it. It wasn't like, oh, she filmed herself getting plowed out. I don't care about that. Do whatever you want. But like the wrestling belt, it's supposed to be an accomplishment, right? It's like jacking off on your high school diploma. You know, like you might not, no, it's like having someone else jack off on your high school diploma, right? It's ridiculous, you know what I mean? So yeah, like if I were a little girl, I would never want to be the NXT Women's Champion. I'd be like, I would be offended if like I signed up with WWE and they're like, we're gonna make you NXT Women's Champion. I'd be like, no, I don't want the ejaculate belt. So anyways, that's reason 19. Reason 20. It's another Paige reason, motherfucker. Paige came from NXT, and Paige sucks and thinks she is a bigger star than she is. Now, beyond what we just said about her being involved in the ejaculate scandal, right? I remember her in Tough Enough, right? What's her face? The broad from Tough Enough, the one, the lesbian one. What's her name? God damn it. Sonya Deville, right? Sonya Deville, right? Is that what it is? Sonya Deville. She was like saying when they were doing a little interview, she was like, well, I think I should win, you know, as part of the interview, because like I have an MMA background, so I think it brings like legitimacy, it makes me believable, right? And then Paige was like, what, are you saying I'm not believable? Yes, bitch, you're not believable. You're not believable at all. Paige is like one of the least athletic people I've ever seen in my life. This girl has like, she's just like a girl that probably jogs once in a while. This girl is not athletic at all. She's not believable at all. You know, if you had her versus like Ann Wolfe, right? One of my favorite female boxers of all time, Ann Wolfe versus Paige, it would be like you would be like, oh God, please have mercy on Paige's soul, because Ann Wolfe is about to eat her alive. You understand what I'm saying? Or even someone like Shayna Baszler, right? Who looks like a badass, right? Like Paige versus Shayna Baszler would not last more than 3 seconds. Shayna Baszler would just destroy her, right? And Shayna Baszler is a jobber, man. She's an MMA jobber. She's not this like, oh, she's like, I was ranked number 10. Yeah, you were, or number 8. I was ranked number 8. Yeah, you were ranked number 8 when there were 9 women. You know what I'm saying? Her record is like 3-8 or some bullshit like that. She sucks. You know, she's not like, people are like, oh, Shayna Baszler is a real MMA fighter, so I think she would be able to beat Dolph Ziggler. Shayna Baszler was a loser in MMA. She wasn't good enough at all. She never made a career out of it, right? And she could not beat, like, let alone Dolph Ziggler, who's actually in great shape in an actual wrestler. But she couldn't even beat, like, fucking Finn Balor would probably whoop her ass. And he's a tiny, tiny man, motherfucker. Even Gargano would have a good shot, because people sometimes severely underestimate the strength disparity between men and women. It is an insane difference, motherfuckers. So there you have it. I mean, Paige, not believable at all. She's an NXT person, so I don't like that about her up in this bitch. And she thinks she's a bigger star than she is. Like, she actually thought she was just like God's gift to women's wrestling. Like that. The worst thing about the women's revolution is that they think that it's like that it's because they're good that this is happening, right? It's not because they're good, you know. Like Lita and Trish Stratus and Jacqueline were like way better wrestlers than these broads. It's not because they're good. It's just because like at one point people were like, all right, we're gonna just jump on board with this agenda after the Me Too movement. Let's be honest. That's what it is, man. It has nothing to do with them being like the generation that put it on the map. No, go fuck yourself. You're not better than Jacqueline. Are you kidding me? Jacqueline would destroy Becky Lynch in wrestling and in a real fight. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck out of here. That's complete nonsense. So anyways, there you have it. Cooks. You know what I'm saying? Reason 21. NXT Finn Balor versus WWE Finn Balor. Now, when I was watching my bad, NXT TakeOver, that was weird. I don't think you cough for no reason. I'm a little thirsty, I think. When I was watching NXT TakeOver, the last one, right, they showed this, like, I'm sure this happened on NXT, but they showed this, like, vignette. It was Johnny Gargano being like, that's the Finn Balor I want. The NXT Finn Balor, right? Not this WWE, like, joke Finn Balor, right? Got me thinking. I'm like, that's an interesting way to justify that, you know? Like, Johnny Gargano was pretty much saying, like, yo, when you were in NXT, you kept winning, right? And you were awesome. And that's the guy I want to wrestle. The guy that kept winning. Not the guy that became a jobber on Raw and a goof, right? Now, the problem with this is that the reason he kept winning is because he was wrestling other jobbers, right? Like, kayfabe-wise, this makes perfect sense. He was wrestling Samoa Joe, right? And he was beating Samoa Joe. He was wrestling, like, I don't know, like Nakamura or whatever. He was winning once in a while. He was wrestling Sami Zayn. He was wrestling these guys. He was wrestling, like, Hideo Itami. He was beating these guys. None of these guys became WWE, like, superstars for real, right? None of them are people that anyone cares about. So it's like, why do you want the other Finn Balor? Like, he could probably still beat Hideo Itami. He's still higher up on the card than Hideo Itami. So there you have it. You know what I mean? Like, this bunch of NXT jobbers, like, being like, oh, I want you to go back to your jobber ways so I can beat you. And then Finn Balor won. It was probably his best match in WWE, like, in my opinion, ever, right? Because he fought another jobber. He fought a small guy, and he can do moves to him, you know? So, but the whole NXT Finn Balor versus WWE Finn Balor is stupid, right? It's the same jobber. It's just like you change the background, you change the people he's wrestling, and you're like, oh, he looks better now. Yeah, same thing. Same thing. You take Champa and you put him in NXT, and you're like, oh, this guy's like looks strong and intimidating. Then you put him like against the Miz, and you're like, who's this little midget troll? You know, this guy looking like a Keebler elf with his beard. You know, he looks like half the man Miz is. You know what I'm saying? Like, Miz is the kind of guy that would bully people like Tommaso Ciampa in high school, right? Because he was small and weak. You know, not Tommaso Ciampa thinks he's like hot shit. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. What are you gonna do, right? Reason 22. Despite what people are saying, there are very few storylines in NXT. Very few. As a matter of fact, aside from the Velveteen Dream, Roderick Strong pseudo storyline, I can't think of any storylines. What are the storylines? You know, like, I guess you, like, I mean, if the standards are as low as they are, and you're like, oh, guy A betrayed guy B, that's a storyline, then fine. Maybe there's a few betrayal storylines, right? But the Broserweights, it's not a storyline. Undisputed Era is not a storyline. They've never been in a storyline. They're just like, I want to wrestle this guy. Okay, I'll wrestle him. You know, there's no actual storylines like you have, for example, Edge and Randy Orton. That's a storyline, right? There's an actual story behind it. Like, just think about, like, everyone is loving this angle, right? Everyone is loving this Randy Orton Edge, like, segment every week, right? And Randy Orton has not wrestled one match in this feud. Edge has not even appeared, right? But the feud is building up perfectly despite the fact that there's no wrestling. Because that's what wrestling is fundamentally. Wrestling, the medium of wrestling, is not about the in-ring match. It's about the performance. And that's what NXT needs. And it doesn't have any of that. At first, it was justifiable because it was a 1-hour show. So you didn't have time to, like, you know, do both stories and wrestling. Now you have plenty of time. You got 2 hours. Figure something out, you know? Everything is a fucking betrayal storyline. You know? It's like AEW, their storyline is like, join my group. Right? That's like their meat and potatoes. Right? If you remember back in the day, like, talk shows like Maury and the Jenny Jones show. Like, Maury, his shtick is, like, who is the father of this baby, right? Paternity test. That's Maury's thing. Jenny Jones, her thing was, like, out-of-control teens, right? Everyone has their thing. AEW's thing is join my group. Join the Nightmare Collective. Join the Nightmare Family. Join the Inner Circle. Is Adam Page going to unjoin the Elite? It's all about, like, hey, you want to join me? That's so fucking stupid, right? And then in NXT, it's all about betrayals. Everything is a betrayal. Oh, Tegan Knox was betrayed by Dakota Kai. Oh, how can we? Oh, I can't believe it. Can you? Yeah, I can believe it. they're two jobbers. One of them wants to make a name for herself. Shawn Michaels already did that shit, motherfuckers, right? So, oh my God, Johnny Gargano betrayed Tommaso Ciampa. Another betrayal. Oh my God, Pete Dunne is gonna eventually betray what's his face? Fucking Matt Riddle. Oh, he betrayed him. Okay, another betrayal that no one saw coming. Oh, Bobby Roode. What the fuck's his name? Bobby Fish. Oh, he got betrayed. Everyone's gonna get betrayed. That's all that we have in NXT is just betrayal storylines. Nothing is good. It's just like, oh, you betrayed me. I can't believe you betrayed me once again. I can come up with really something better, man. Seriously, you know? Reason 23. There are other NXT programs like NXT UK, and they will only continue to grow. I have heard rumors, right, that they're thinking about doing NXT Canada, which is so stupid. Now, I like Canada. Canada is actually awesome. I love Canada. But, damn, I actually would consider moving there if I could. But anyways, so Canada is tight. I like Canada. But NXT Canada makes no sense because it's in the same continent as the United States. We're neighbors, motherfucks. If you're a Canadian wrestler, you don't need your own NXT. Just go to NXT. Like Kevin Owens, like Sami Zayn, like all these other Canadians, right? What they should do, if they're smart, is make NXT Japan. That's the smart move, right? Completely take that market away from or you know what? If they had balls and then, you know, just call it WWE Japan, right? Just destroy New Japan Pro Wrestling, like, completely, right? Hire, like, Kota Ibushi or some other guys that they've been talking to, and then problem solved. Make NXT Japan, which I've also heard they're going to do. Or some sort of hybrid, like NXT Asia, because I know they have a lot of interest in, like, India and China. So it's like NXT Asia would be great, you know? Like, but while that's awesome, especially on the business side, I think it's a great business strategy, right? It's like, how are we going to completely take over the Japanese wrestling market? Here's how. We're going to put on a better show than New Japan in Tokyo. Hell, maybe in the Tokyo Dome, NXT Japan, the weekend, WrestleMania weekend, right? You have some, like, legends, but like young legends, you know? There's a lot of wrestlers in Japan. Pick a few, motherfucks. Pick a few, you know? And make NXT Japan. Build it up with storylines. The only problem, of course, would be, like, the language barrier, because it would have to be on the WWE Network. And how the fuck am I going to watch, unless, I mean, I guess you could have subtitles, but how the fuck am I going to watch something in Japanese, you know? And, yeah, that's what I would do. NXT Japan, bitches, right? And you know what? You have all these jobbers. You have, like, Io Shirai. You have Nakamura. I'm sure he'd prefer to be in NXT Japan, right, than be WWE, traveling all over the world for no reason. And, you know, you can use people like Nakamura and Asuka or something like that, right? Like, you make Nakamura the NXT Japan champion, right? And then at WrestleMania, this I'm talking down the line. At WrestleMania, you have, like, I don't know, like a four-way elimination championship scramble match, right? You have the NXT champion, the NXT, like, UK champion, the NXT Japan champion, and the NXT up your own ass champion, and you have them fight, right? And they get a spot on the card. It's pretty cool, you know? That's what I would do. But insofar as beyond the business strategy thing, it dilutes what NXT is. If you have all these NXT brands, it's like, well, what's more important? Is the NXT UK champion superior to the NXT champion? Is the NXT UK champion on the same level as the NXT North American champion, right? What happened to the NXT Cruiserweight title? There's all these questions, right? It dilutes the program. While making it bigger, you're diluting it. Like, there's, like, the NXT UK Tag Champs. There's the NXT Tag Champs, right? Presumably, if they do NXT Canada or NXT Japan, you're going to have that too. The NXT Canada Tag Champs and the NXT Japan Tag Champs. What the fuck? You know, a lot of shit. I don't like it. NXT sucks. All right. Reason 24, one of my favorite reasons. As usual, I've left the best reason for last, but 24 is one of my favorites. NXT is really not necessary. It just is not necessary, motherfuckers. It's not a necessary entity. You know, you can just subcontract all this to some other organization, right? So, for example, now I've learned that Ring of Honor, their developmental is something called MCW, Maryland Championship Wrestling, which I'm assuming is a indie federation in Maryland, right? And I think ROH is based in Baltimore. So there you go. You know, they don't need to, like, create their own. They're just like, all right, MCW, pick whoever you want, and then the best ones that we like, we're gonna take from you, right? That's our relationship. That's what WWE had with OVW, and from that, like, you had, like, Jim Cornette as the head of OVW, and people like they signed people like Cena, Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. Like, I just mentioned 5 people who were all awesome. Like, they were awesome athletes. They were awesome personalities. They were, like, better than, like, everyone right now, basically. Right? Especially, of course, Cena, Lesnar, and Orton, and Batista. Shelton Benjamin, not so much. But even he, like, as a mid-carder, he's, like, one of the best mid-carders. Right? But all the other 4 guys, they're all, like, Hall of Famers. You know? So, but do this instead of, like, oh, we're going to have a training center. We're going to train them ourselves. Why? Why do you want to do that? So you can have people like Tyler Breeze, you know? Oh, OVW gave us Cena, but our own methods, they gave us Tyler Breeze. Has the WWE Performance Center produced anyone? No, they produced no one. Everyone that they have is like either an ROH guy, right? Or some other like New Japan type guy, and that's it. Everyone that comes that is like made from the Performance Center is a complete failure. I can't think of one, except for, of course, Velveteen Dream. But Velveteen Dream, you really couldn't fuck that up. Like, Velveteen Dream is just good at, like, it doesn't matter where you found him. You know? This guy's just awesome. So there you go. There you have it, cucks. And reason 25, the most important reason of all time. Triple H is in charge, and Triple H fucking sucks as a booker. Triple H, I honestly don't understand what happened to this guy. I don't think he understands what he's doing. I really don't. You know, I think Triple H is just like, oh, I'm going to cater to the neckbeard fans because I think that's his only, like, kind of, like, you know how you might meet someone who's, like, very unoriginal, and, you know, like, you hang out with them for a couple of weeks, and then you see them later, like, a month later or so, and now they have new things that they've stolen from other people because they're so unoriginal. I think that's what Triple H is, you know? Like, Vince McMahon is a visionary. Vince McMahon's like, all right, we're going to put this guy, and you know, because he's a visionary, right? He's going to get a few misses, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know? For example, Mae Young giving birth to the Hand, right? Obviously, we all understand that that's not, like, the best angle ever, right? But, for example, Vince McMahon was the guy who put Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman together, right? So, like, we also get good things from Vince McMahon because he tries things. He sticks his neck out on the line, and he's like, I'm going to give this a shot, right? And if it fails, it fails. And he laughs it off with confidence. It keeps going. You know what I mean? Like, is there anyone cooler in this world than Vince McMahon? Honestly, think about it, right? XFL fails completely. 20 years later, this motherfucker is like, I'm doing it again. Lick my bag. You know what I'm saying? Triple H, on the other hand, I don't think he's had any strokes of, like, originality in his life. You know, like I said in a previous video, Triple H has always been paired with someone better than him. In the Ruthless Aggression documentary, right? Like, one episode was about evolution, right? And Triple H was like, oh, I decided that I was going to pull Ric Flair out of his slump. Right? And I'm like, all right, that's kind of nice of you, right? But at the same time, it's like, don't make it seem all heroic, right? You're trying to rub shoulders with Ric Flair, which is what you've been doing this whole time, is rubbing shoulders with people better than you so they can benefit from you. Evolution could have been done without Triple H. It could not have been done without Ric Flair. Ric Flair is the real leader of fucking Evolution, right? They're like, oh, instead of Batista, they're going to put Mark Jindrak. It could have worked just as fine with Mark Jindrak. It could have worked just as fine with Mark Jindrak either replacing Orton or Batista. It would have worked the same, right? And it could have easily worked if you replaced Triple H with another Triple H-esque, like, main event type, right? Like maybe Jericho. If you wanted to put Jericho and Flair, same thing would have happened. It would have to be like that kind of character, but you understand what I'm saying, right? But you couldn't replace Flair with anybody. That's why all these other bullshit groups aren't working out. That's why Inner Circle, which is obviously like a ripoff of Evolution in many ways, right? It's not going to work out because Jericho is not Flair. It's as simple as that. Jericho's not cool enough, and he's cool as shit, but he's not cool enough to be Flair, right? That's all there is to it, cucks, right? So Triple H, he's always been paired up with someone superior to him, whether that be Vince McMahon, honestly, even Stephanie McMahon, Road Dogg, right? Triple H has never been this, like, great guy on the mic. He really isn't, you know? He's, like, pretty good in the ring, right? He's charismatic, and he's good at doing, like, little one-liners, but he has the same shortcomings as Cena. I won't even call it a shortcoming because Cena's great on the mic, but it's this idea that Triple H, like, all his promos that are good are just him, like, saying things to people that they can't say to him, right? Until the whole CM Punk incident, right? So, for example, Triple H can look at CM Punk and be like, dude, you look like shit. You're skinny fat, and you look like you haven't taken a shower. But CM Punk cannot, or maybe at some point he could, but CM Punk or someone else cannot cut a promo on Triple H and say, you know what? You look like you do steroids and like you slept your way to the top. And by the way, you have a huge nose, you little shit. Nobody can do that to Triple H because he's too high up on the card. And Cena does this too. Cena sometimes says things like, oh, Roman, like, I give you the ball, but you dropped it. Like, I'm only here because you can't do the job yet, right? And Roman can't be like, no, fam. You're here because you want a paycheck, right? Because you're trying to make it into Hollywood, just like The Rock, my cousin, who you criticized, right? So that's the problem I have with people like Triple H. He has always been paired with someone better. And now, he's not paired with anyone. Now, it's his little project, right? NXT UK, all this shit. It's his little project. So he's looking to his left, no one there. Looking to his right, no one there. So where does he look? The only place left. He looks probably to these online forums with these neckbeards who are saying things like, oh, Nakamura, this guy's a legend. Vince would be crazy not to sign him. And the Triple H is like, oh, let's sign this Nakamura guy. Maybe he'll pay dividends, right? Wrong. Complete failure in WWE. Oh, let's sign Kevin Owens. Maybe he'll be our next Stone Cold. Wrong. Nowhere close, motherfuckers. Maybe we'll sign Finn Balor. I heard the neckbeards also like him. Some of them would go gay for Finn Balor. Wrong. Another failure, motherfuckers. Oh, I hear this guy. Oh, this guy in Mexico. This guy is like, he has a comic book. The fans like are going crazy over him. The kids love him. His name is Sin Cara, whatever, Mystico, right? Let's sign him and make him our new Rey Mysterio. Wrong. Another failure. How many times does Triple H have to fail with signing people that are supposed to be the next big? Oh, he dealt with Tommy. Another great prospect. Complete, utter failure, right? Just everything Triple H does is a failure, man. He has succeeded in fucking nothing. And people are like, Triple H, oh, when Vince dies, which by the way is fucked up to even talk about Vince dying like so nonchalantly, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, when Vince dies, wrestling will be good. Go fuck yourselves. Honestly, go fuck yourselves. All these Vince haters, you know, they're like, oh, I can't wait till Vince dies so that my wrestling can be good. Vince doesn't know what he's doing. Give Matt Hardy the world title, or else he might go to AEW where he will flourish. Shut the fuck up. Enough of this. Like, the only thing that from all this that I find solace in is the fact that Vince McMahon, even in his old age, he would emasculate fucking everyone that I just mentioned, right? He would just be like, shut your mouth. Vince McMahon does what Vince McMahon wants. Vince McMahon's the kind of guy, according to Patrice O'Neal, who like Tiger Ali Singh was like, I don't want to wear a turban because he was like a Sikh Indian. He's like, I don't want to wear a turban because it disrespects my family, right? And Vince was like, put the turban on, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do as you're told around here, employee. You know what I mean? Vince McMahon is a no nonsense. He's like a real dude, you know. And Triple H is not a dude. That's honestly what it comes down to. Vince McMahon is someone who has never had to kiss ass. Vince McMahon is someone whose ass gets kissed, right? Vince McMahon is just a boy from the trailer park, right, who is tough as nails and busted his ass to build his empire. Then as a result, he is surrounded by parasites, right? Some of his natural tendencies have rubbed off on his children, right? Like, you can tell Stephanie is a shrewd businesswoman, and you can tell that Shane is a fucking tough motherfucker, man. You know, you can tell this. But it's also attracted a bunch of parasitic-like people, like Triple H, who's like, how do I get into good graces of Vince? I'll prove it to him with NXTAAAAY, right? And then what is it that NXT made? It made nothing. By casting a wide net, by having all the money that WWE has, you know, you hire everyone, you're gonna get some good ones. You know, you're gonna find a Patrick Clark who became Velveteen Dream. You're gonna find that guy. But everyone else that Triple H has scouted or said, this guy is good, I think he has what it takes, has been a complete failure. This guy has no idea what to look for in talent, as compared to, let's say, a JR or a Jim Cornette, who are like, all right, this kid, he's gonna get it. I mean, Jim Cornette more so than JR. Jim Cornette's like, oh, this guy's good. He's marketable. He's gonna be fine, right? I feel like a lot of that just is attributed to Paul Heyman, but it's Jim Cornette, really. He's the one that understands. He's like, all right, this guy's not a jobber. I like him. People will like him, right? Triple H is like, I think the people that are going to get the most over are a fat man called Kevin Owens and a chubby guy called Sin Cara who wears a mask and botches every other move. That's what Triple H's idea of wrestling is. And Triple H is behind NXT, and that explains why it sucks. Because Triple H has no direction himself, right? He's doing it on his own, quote unquote, right? And what he does is he goes and listens to the beards, to the Dave Meltzers of the world who are like, you know, false finishers are good. Yeah, Nakamura's good. Kevin Owens is good. This is just a lie. They're not good. You know, they come out there, they have like a shitty 35-minute match no one cares about, and then Squawks are like, oh, Triple H, he really gets it. I can't wait till he picks his Vince. I hope he doesn't. I mean, first of all, I don't think Vince McMahon is going anywhere anytime soon. I would not be surprised if Vince McMahon lives to be over 100 and honestly continues to work for 15 years. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, actually, I think he's going to keep working until he dies. But Vince McMahon is fit as a fiddle. This guy is going to go on for a long time, motherfuckers. But I think by the time Vince like retires, Triple H will be like 70, 75, and he'll be an old man, you know? And Triple H is already like, he's not a young guy. You know, enough of this bullshit. Triple H has his finger on the pulse. Triple H is like 50. You know, he's as you idiots would call a boomer. You know what I mean? Triple H doesn't know what the fuck is cool anymore. You know, so he listens to these neckbeards. I don't know how Triple H hasn't made this connection. Listening to the beards means nothing. You're an idiot. You're a moron. You listen to the beards and you're like, oh, they really get it. They don't, motherfucker. They don't. Oh my god, this video's going on 1 hour. All right. I don't know what to do about this. I guess I'll post it. We'll see, cucks. All right, see you later, bitches.